Everyone ready?
This is the SEC Insider Hit. Presented by your local Farm Bureau Insurance agent. Go local. Go with a home team.
Good morning. Welcome in. We are the Out of Bounds Show. ESPN 105.9 The Zone. We're driven by the Ram trucks at Mac Hike in Flowood, MacHikeFlowwood.com. And the show is also brought to you by Bulldog Burger in Ridgeland, Bulldog Burger in Starkville, right there in the Cotton District, and Bulldog Burger in Tupelo. You're listening to 105.9 The Zone ESPN. Our guests join us on the Patron Tequila guest line. Exciting news last week as our next guest, Zac Selmon, was named the athletic director at Mississippi State. And Dr. Mark Keenum and the team identified Zac Selmon and decided that he was the guy to lead the athletic department, and he has spent several years at the University of Oklahoma under Joe Castiglione, who is considered one of the best ADs in the country. And we welcome in Zac Selmon. Good morning. How are you?
Doing great, Bo. Good morning. Thanks for having me on.
Well, thank you for your time. Congratulations, Zac.
Oh, thank you. Still all sinking in, but so excited and just eager to get back to Starkville here next week.
So where were you when you, I guess, received the call that you had been chosen to be the next athletic director at Mississippi State, Zac?
I was here in our offices at Oklahoma. The administrative offices are in the north end zone of the football stadium. So I was just coming out of a meeting and got the call, and almost so happy, excited, eager. And first thing I did, call my wife and say, let's go to Starkville. So she's on board, as you saw last week. It's a family affair for us. So, again, yeah, everything's just so pleased with how the process went, but also just inspired by Dr. Keenum and the leadership that he provides Mississippi State. So really excited to be able to join the team.
Zac Selmon on the Out of Bounds Show. Dr. Keenum's been the most successful president at Mississippi State University. He's been there a long time now. This is considered, I think, a long time in the business. I think 13 years, maybe almost 14. When you started through the interview process and started getting to know Dr. Keenum, what jumped out at you?
I think first thing was just his vision for Mississippi State, and it was a big, bold vision. And he wants to do the unthinkable and the moonshot type approach. And I love that. I love to be able to inspire to try to do as best as we can. But I think also you always stood out his humility. And that's one thing that after our first phone conversation, you just felt the humility and the genuineness. And I think another thing I really loved is he always puts the students first. And for us in higher education, it's got to always be about the students. And I've always said when I take an AD job or accept an AD job, it's going to be one with the president that you can align with, and one that also always puts the students first. And I think lastly, just his ability to really see how important college athletics is, not only locally but nationally. And clearly have built a great relationship with a lot of people in this business, and just what he's doing from a national perspective for college sports and then locally in Starkville is something I think all the ingredients we can win, and we can win at a high level.
That's a great point. That doesn't always happen in academia, where the president or chancellor is on board and gung-ho and committed to collegiate athletics. Dr. Keenum definitely is. We're visiting with Zac Selmon, new athletic director at Mississippi State, and spent the last 7 years at Oklahoma, was also at North Carolina under Bubba Cunningham. And Zac joins us on ESPN 105.9 The Zone. I know I think you spent about 48 hours or so maybe on campus, 48 hours on campus last week. What was your takeaway? What did you think about the campus, the sports facilities, the academics, and so on?
I think first, every college campus, starts with the people, and said it on Friday. We've just been overwhelmed with how genuine everybody is that we came in contact with, and that's something that's really been something that we've always looked for. Because for us, we want to be involved in the community and engage with. So I think the people were first. Where we currently are moving from to get to Starkville, there's not a lot of trees. It's pretty flat. So I think we love seeing trees. We love seeing the trees, and Went for a jog Friday morning through campus, and just beautiful campus. You still haven't been able to go to all the athletics facilities yet. Did like kind of a driving tour. But just think a lot of the progressiveness over the last couple of years appears like has really put Mississippi State put us in a good position for the future. So once I get back there, we'll take a lot more intimate look at everything that we're doing on the inside.
Let's talk Joe Castiglione at Oklahoma and his tenure since 1998. He's been incredibly successful. Why has he been so successful at Oklahoma, Zach?
Yeah, I think it starts with alignment. He's had great alignment with, three presidents. But between him, President David Bohr, and Bob Stoops, they were together for 18 years. So I think I've always learned that, alignment is critical for success. Also, I think it's the constant pursuit to get better. And, we call it's easy to have like the fat cat syndrome or whatever it might be, but we've always had a hard hat mentality. And I think that's something that Joe drives into us every day, is allowing us to pursue perfection and relentlessly pursue perfection. And if we know we're not going to hit perfection, but we're going to constantly strive to get better. So I think those are the couple of the key ingredients that Joe's always pushed us for.
Hey, when you describe what your role was as Deputy Athletics Director, External Engagement and Advancement, what was your number one priority for the Oklahoma Athletic Department?
Yeah, I think it over time it's varied. Clearly I have sport oversight with football when I was at Oklahoma, so onboarding a new staff and going through a transition over the last year has took up probably the majority of my time. Then clearly the next bucket is our fundraising area, kind of in the midst of a capital campaign there, so spent a lot of the time doing the fundraising of it. Then also all of our external areas have my oversight too. So again, it's been a blessing because I've earned trust here at Oklahoma and was able to do a lot more things. But there wasn't every day is going to look the same. But that's again because I think Joe and I had worked a long time together and had his trust to do a lot of different things.
Zac Selmon on the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. Zach, as you're fully aware, NIL has taken the collegiate athletics world by storm. People are still trying to figure it out. It's a new frontier, and obviously Mississippi State has the Bulldog Initiative, and every school, not every school, but most schools are heavily involved in this. How do you see, where are you with NIL, and how do you see Zac Selmon helping the collective or Mississippi State in the NIL space?
Yeah, I think still trying to get schooled up on everything. I've clearly read about the Bulldog Initiative, and kudos to everybody who's put in a lot of great work to get us where we're at now. I think so the first step for me is going to just be to learn of again, what we're currently doing and trying to identify some opportunities that we've learned at other places, but also some other original thoughts that we have. I know, we can say NIL is great, NIL is bad, but the fact of the matter is NIL is here. And for our student athletes, we're going to embrace it, but we're going to embrace it in the right way. And we're also going to embrace it so there's educational components that come along with it. I do think learn that you can't look at NIL as just a one-size-fits-all mechanism for everybody. I think every sport program is different. Every student athlete is different. Shoot, we're all different. I've got two kids at home, and they both love different things.
Sure.
So I think we're first develop an identity of what success might look like for that individual program, and then build out plans and work with partners and collaborate with people to make sure that we reach all of it. And then clearly, I think this is just a temporary thing. At some point, whether it's NCAA, conference, what have you, there's going to have to be some more oversight and governance. So I think as we're building out right now, we're also be scenario planning for what the future might hold as well.
He is Zac Selmon, new Mississippi State Athletic Director on the Out of Bounds Show. He joins us on the Patron Tequila guest line. So describe what it was like. You grew up with Oklahoma royalty? I mean, your father, your uncles, that had to be pretty amazing, so accomplished. And so well, you're talking about a proud program. You know, when I was a kid, I'm older than you, Zach, but when I was in the 80s, Switzer dominated. That's kind of when I first remember life or whatever. Switzer dominated college football. And, of course, your dad and uncles had played in the 70s and so on. What was it like to grow up with a dad and two uncles who were so accomplished in Oklahoma football?
You know, it was great, but you know, Bo, I really didn't even realize it. I don't think growing up, it just was normal. I mean, one of my first memories, we were at the donut shop and somebody asked my dad for an autograph when I was, I don't know, probably 5 years old, and I just never from there. I never really thought it was weird. But the cool thing is, never really talked to him about sports. It was always more, even before Uncle Leroy passed, when he called, it was, hey, how's school going? How's your faith? What are you doing? It was never about football. And even to this day with my dad, it's never about like the game. It's always about the process and about the life lessons that the game teaches you. Now, I think one of the benefits of, I had three older sisters who all were heavily involved in basketball. So our family was competitive as heck and wanted to win and everything. And that really helped develop me in a mentality. But it was really exciting. But I think most importantly, it showed like you can be at the top pinnacle of your game, but you can also be a great person. And that's something that has always stuck with me, even specifically with Uncle Leroy, to be a number one draft pick, college football Hall of Famer, you name it, NFL Hall of Famer. But I never once saw him turn away a autograph request. I never once saw him give somebody a bad look. He was always truly about trying to help people, and that's always really inspiring and set the benchmark very high for, I think, it's all to look at.
Wow. What? Okay, describe your experience at Wake Forest. You were a 4-year Dean's List member, 4-year starter at tight end on Wake Forest football team. That's an excellent academic institution too. What was it like to go to college at Wake?
Loved Wake. And funny story, the main reason I went to Wake Forest was one of my best friends growing up, and still to this day, is a guy named Zac Taylor, who just won a big game with leading the Bengals last night. And so Zach's a year older than me, and growing up, we played high school football together, and he went to Wake Forest, and so convinced me to come out there with him the following year. And then, ironically, he ended up transferring on me. So I go 1,100 miles from home, and then one day after practice, we're walking down the hallway, and I could tell something was – I've known him so long, I could tell something was turning in him. And then one of our offensive linemen kind of spilled the beans and said, hey, Taylor, have you told Selmon yet you're leaving? And I'm like, dude, what? I came all the way out here from you. I packed up my Nissan Maxima for you, man. And now you're leaving on me. But it was a adjustment period. But being that far from where I grew up was great, and loved the classroom size. Loved the idea of having high academics, but also competing in the ACC, and loved getting to play for Jim Grove. Jim Grove is a jewel of a guy. Love him to death. Still talk to him at least once a month or so, and just really had a good time. And also, we were able to win some games, which was really fun to build something there. Really kind of, again, showed me, again, you can win at any level. Sometimes it takes strategy depending on what seat you're sitting in, but it was a really great experience, and really thankful for my time in Winston-Salem.
So Coach Grove, he took Wake Forest to the Orange Bowl, didn't he? I mean, that's
correct. Yeah.
That's incredible. He's an underrated coach, what he was able to I know Clausen's done a good job, but Grove was awesome. Did you ever get to see, as a student athlete at Wake Forest, did Tim Duncan or Chris Paul ever come back to campus?
Didn't see Tim Duncan, but yet Chris and I were the same class. So got to see Chris a lot, and still, one of the first people that texted me after the press conference on Friday was Chris's brother, CJ. and I think CJ was a couple years above us, but was playing at Winston-Salem State. So really got to see some great basketball. One of my religion, I was a religion major there at Wake, and one of my religion major partners was Webb Simpson, who clearly is doing his thing on the PGA Tour. So it's, for a small school size as far as student enrollment, there's a lot of great people, great faculty. One of my religion professors married Rachel and I. So it was a really kind of small communal thing but really appreciated our time there and had some great athletes for sure. It was fun watching Chris Paul. Yeah, Justin Gray was on the basketball team too. So they got up to number one in the country for a little bit. They lost to Illinois.
Mm. Yeah, so that's incredible. Chris Paul's my favorite point guard the last 20 or so years. I was an Isaiah Thomas guy in the 80s, and then I had to go with Chris Paul. He was in New Orleans for a while, and the company I was with had season tickets, and we got to catch him play right out of Wake. That's really cool. We're visiting with Zac Selmon. He is on the Out of Bounds show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. He is the new athletic director at Mississippi State. Zac, we appreciate it. Thank you so much today for spending some time with us. I know the Mississippi State and Starkville community is excited to get to know you and your family. And I had people from the Oklahoma Sooner kind of world and family hitting me up throughout the weekend that they're happy for you, but they're not happy about losing you because you're a rising star in the industry. So congratulations on the new job, and we'll catch up soon.
Absolutely. Bo, thank you so much. Hail State.
Zac Selmon, the new athletic director at Mississippi State, played at Wake Forest, which is really cool. And I didn't realize the tie was that close with Chris Paul. If you've listened to this show, you know what I think about Chris Paul. Unbelievable. And then, obviously, Oklahoma, North Carolina, and now he is your new AD in Starkville at Mississippi State. And Zac joined us on the Patron Tequila guest line. It's unbelievable. We've talked about his father, Dewey, his uncles, Leroy and Lucius Selmon. That's Oklahoma football royalty. All of them All-Americans, 2 of the 3 academic All-Americans. And then how about that, Blake? Webb Simpson, Chris Paul, among Zach Taylor, among others that were at Wake Forest during his 4-year career there, as he was on the dean's list for all 4 years, also while starting at tight end.
Yeah, as a state person, I don't know what a tight end is, but those other things sound good.
You are.
No, in all seriousness, I think you see what he did at Oklahoma as a fundraiser and NIL focused person, and that I think for any program. I mean, look, we just talked about C.J. Stroud, whether or not he's going to turn down the NFL for an NIL offer to stay at Ohio State. We're talking about Ole Miss looking for a quarterback, and whether or not they're going to be paying Jackson Dart and Walker Howard if they try to go get somebody like that. We've talked about State trying to keep players, whether it's from the NFL or from other teams trying to come in for the transfer. Clearly, NIL and the new era of fundraising is the focal point of college athletics. So seems like Mark Keenum recognized that and hired someone whose main history and track record is in being successful at those very things.
And I think Charlie Winfield, who heads up the Bulldog Initiative, is going to be really excited that Zac Selmon's on campus to get to know each other.
He's probably not unhappy.
No.
Yeah, I would say that's probably accurate.
That was cool. Golly, it's no big deal to him because of the way he grew up. But when you think about his dad and his uncles, one, but then going to Wake at a time when Chris Paul was there, Webb Simpson, who's an unbelievable PGA Tour player, and so on. And Zach Taylor, who's the head football coach for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Them Bengals.
Sorry,
baby.
I didn't say it
Bayou
right. I said
Bengals.
Bengals.
Look,
because I remember last night Chris Sims and who was on the right of Chris Sims, or his left, but my right.
Jason Garrett, right?
What? Yes, it was Jason Garrett. It was Jason Garrett.
Yeah, that's why you couldn't remember.
And they said the Bengals.
Real quick, speaking of NFL, because I only have like 3 minutes here. Tonight's game, Cowboys and Buccaneers. They play at Tampa Bay. Tom Brady, we know his incredible playoff statistics. The Cowboys have not won a road playoff game in 30 years. Now, that's 24 of those years Dak Prescott was not in the organization. So let's not pretend like it's all their fault. Mike McCarthy's only been the coach for a couple. But as he said, we don't carry the sins of the past with us. This is our year. It's a new year. But they hadn't won a road playoff game
since
in
1993.
30 years. Is
that the year you were born?
91.
Okay.
So 30 years since a road playoff.
No, I want to
victory.
say that a little slower. The Dallas Cowboys. I want you to think about the Jacksonville Jaguars and the New York Jets for a second. Just hold that thought. And the Cincinnati Bengals. All right. Blake, I read that yesterday too. The Dallas Cowboys haven't won a road game since 1993. Bill Clinton had only been in office for, I think, a week.
Yeah.
I want you to think about that. 1993. Pearl Jam, Stone Temple Pilots,
Yep.
Snoop Dogg, and Dr. Dre were all kicking it in the music world. All right? I mean, they still are, but I'm talking about new and ascending and so on. And Blake just dropped 1993 was the last time they won a road playoff game and haven't been to the NFC Championship game since
95 or something like that. Yeah. So, all right.
And the Jets have been, the Jaguars have been, and the Bengals have not only been, they've been to the Super Bowl.
So what you got tonight? You got Brady versus Dak, McCarthy versus Bowles, who has never lost to the Cowboys, ironically enough. Brady's never lost to the Cowboys, ironically enough.
Really?
Who you got? You got Brady, you got Dak.
Of course, he hadn't played him that much.
Cowboys or Bucks?
You know who I'm going to go Cowboys.
Who do you really think, though, is going to win?
Tampa Bay.
It's disrespectful.
But I love that.
You're going to cheer for the Cowboys, but if you were betting, it's Tampa minus plus 2.5, I think, is what the final is.
Yeah, I'd take
the 2.5
points.
Yeah, you take Tampa.
Because this thing could go like 22-21. Look,
31-30.
You're exactly right. 24-23, 28-27. Look at this weekend and how great the games were.
Yeah.
And how long they were one possession. I know the Saturday night thing got out of hand and then the Jaguars came back, but man, I mean, even look, Miami with the backup quarterback,
with a
Baltimore with Baltimore with the backup quarterback.
Yeah.
The parity in this league is so damn good.
It's hard to win,
and it's hard to.
It's hard to win. The playoff is just different.
Yeah,
it's just a different breed.
And the physicality. I mean, it's already incredible in the regular season, but the licks that the Ravens and the Bengals, we're putting on each other. So I'll go Cowboys by 1 point. I don't feel good about that.
Boys are rolling, baby.
Maybe they'll break this 1993. Haven't won a road playoff game since 93 jinx tonight. Good show today. Show is brought to you by Bulldog Burger in Ridgeland, Bulldog Burger in Starkville, and Bulldog Burger in Tupelo. Show is also presented by Dr. Kirk Jeffries, Eye Care Professionals. If you need cataract surgery, you want to go to Dr. Kirk Jeffries and Eye Care Professionals, 2 locations on Lakeland Drive. Jackson, Flowwood, Belmead. Thanks for listening to the show. You can hit Apple Podcasts, search the Out of Bounds Show, and listen to our riveting conversation on Waffle House. And whether it's breakfast or brunch, we'll see you tomorrow.